As part of the analysis of clash detection, ACA offers usBIM.clash software that allows you to identify collisions between multiple models and correctly manage conflicts, identifying unequivocally which and how many elements cause collisions. usBIM.clash is an online service integrated with clash detection usBIM for the verification of interference and conflict management between different 3D models, such as the architectural project and the structural or plant design. By setting some simple parameters, type of comparison, type of collision, tolerance, you can automatically check the interference depending on the type of analysis you want to perform, hard clash, clearance clash, etc., and the degree of precision you want to achieve. Now let's see what are the possible geometric interference checks. In general, we have two types of clash detection: hard clash or soft clash. Hard clash occurs when two objects that belong to the same model or to different models are physically in conflict. They occupy the same space at the same time and therefore somehow interpenetrate. It is generally required that these clashes are always resolved within the model by moving one of the two elements. Another type of clash is that defined as soft or clearance clash that occurs when two objects do not physically interpenetrate but their proximity is such as to make it impossible or difficult to assemble and maintain. The clashes have a degree of severity since the conflicts that we can detect, hard type or soft type, do not obviously have the same severity. There are three levels of severity. The first, which is called level 1, is the most serious. We have identified an important conflict that must be resolved immediately within the model. Then once identified, a whole procedure is activated to immediately indicate to the modelers how to solve that problem. Level 2 indicates a serious conflict, so we have identified a less serious conflict whose resolution will be discussed later on. A last conflict is that of level 3 minor conflict, which identifies a conflict whose resolution is delegated either to the closing phase or even to the construction phase, so it is a conflict that does not impact on the entire process and does not preclude the work. For clash detection tests, we usually work with clash matrices. These matrices are produced in-house by the coordination team to simplify clash detection operations. This matrix defines the objectives of the clash, the disciplines involved, the categories of objects, the verification setting and the tolerance value and the minimum distance if necessary, and any notes. We remind you that the verification can be carried out with reference to a specific model and therefore in LC1, that is within the single model, or in LC2, that is by federating different models and therefore different disciplinary areas. usBIM.clash allows you to work on open formats and proprietary formats to conduct clash detection activities on both a single model and federated models. It is an application integrated in usBIM and we find it among the editable documents. This allows you to generate analysis files directly from usBIM. In fact, the advantage of working in an integrated system is to never leave the work environment. All formats that are supported in terms of display by usBIM browser can be federated and compared to each other to investigate any geometric interference. usBIM.clash allows you to analyze not only physical interpenetrations between objects, but also the minimum distance between the elements of the model. First of all, the BIM coordination procedure is planned, then the verification rules are set in terms of control criteria, actual rules, or guidelines for conducting these checks. The models are federated and filters and selection groups are created for the entities that are the object of the verification. The next step in the clash detection process is to set the parameters of the clash, define if you want to investigate a hard or a clearest clash, the tolerances, the minimum distance. After that, we proceed to the actual execution of the control and therefore of the clash detection, that is, materially the analysis of the interferences. usBIM.clash works with BIM objects, so materially it analyzes the geometries of the objects of the model, analyzes all collisions and physical interpenetrations between objects, analyzes the minimum distances between objects according to the designated parameters. After that, the next step is that of clash management, then the management of the detected issues. Let's analyze the report promptly and define which issue is decisive, which must be resolved and managed and which instead can be remedied. usBIM.clash allows us to work on the IFC Open Standard. This ensures interoperability and thus facilitates collaboration. It also allows you to always import and export the verification report in various formats including the BCF, which is also an open standard format. Let's deepen with a video to understand how all this is possible, through the use of usBIM.clash. We find the app among the editable documents of usBIM. The BIM manager or BIM coordinator has the need to identify any interference in the BIM models in order to maximize construction time and costs. The BIM manager creates a new document to support the geometric verification of the models. Once the document is created, you have the possibility to select one or more interest models directly within the web browser and federate them with each other. Then, from the project structure, select the architectural and structural model that are interested in the verification you want to carry out. So, given a title that defines the selection group, let's see how to select the components of the federated model. Once this operation is done, return to the collision filters of the clash and add the objects of the selection. Then return to the tab dedicated to the structure of the models and this time select the horizontal envelope elements from the architectural model. As before, add the objects to the selection. The same objects can be set as objects of type A, or objects of type B, because in the definition parts of the calculation I can decide whether to go and check the groups A against A against B, or B against B. Having made this choice, I can define the hard clash, the clearance clash, and possibly set a tolerance value. After that, all that remains is to launch the calculation. Once the calculation is started, after a short processing, the result will be returned to us. The BIM manager has so immediate count and can dynamically be sent back to each object, just a click to have a view of all the elements subject to verification. Let's set up a type of filter. We want to verify that the pillars of the structural model and the openings of the architectural model do not collide with each other. Then, I go to set the filter, select all the pillars, represented by the IFC column class, and confirm. I duplicate the check and in the same way I go to select the various openings that in the architectural model are composed of window and door with their respective classes. I select all items that correspond to the IFC window class. It only takes a few minutes to set all the necessary filters. I will still select all the ports, which correspond to the IFC door classes, and once this operation is completed we will apply the filter. Start then the calculation and the software correctly to our expectations selects all the objects that collide.